Hey YouTube, welcome to part 8 of the gravel grader build. In this episode I'm going to finish welding up the trailing arms. I'll give it a grind off, get rid of all the welding spatter ready for painting, and I'll do a test assembly to make sure everything fits as it's intended. Let's get on with the job. Up until now these two trailing arms have been identical, but since the axles go on the inside of the trailing arms, we have to make sure we weld it on the right side. As soon as we weld the axles in, of course, they become handed. I'll put the axles in the arms, and I've got them set up there so that you can see the handedness of them, and also for my benefit so that I don't make any mistakes when I weld them together. It would be kind of embarrassing if I welded them together and found that I'd made two for the right hand side, especially when there's video evidence of the mistake. The axles are a nice snug fit in the holes, so I've just made a little bevel to aid the penetration, not very deep, and I'm going to run a bead of weld around the end of the axle where it meets the SHS, and that'll be sufficient to hold it in place. Well, it's not the neatest weld in the world, but then again it has no real load to carry. All it has to do is hold the axle in place. So I think it'll do the trick okay. I've just got to do the other one and that's all finished. Well, the last thing to do to this is to weld the tow hitch on, but that's the only piece of welding that needs doing. Other than that, it's just got to be assembled and painted, or painted and assembled as the case may be. But I've got to grind it. So that's the next job to do. I'll grind this off. Then when I decide what I'm doing about the tow hitch, I'll have to grind that afterwards. This is one job you wouldn't want to do without safety goggles. Now, it would appear that grinding discs definitely have a use by date, because I don't remember they used to wear out this quickly in the old days, so I'm guessing that whatever glue they used to hold this on has pretty much had its life. I'm just assembling the trailing arm and the edger on one side. Now the idea of the arc cutouts is that it limits the travel of the trailing arm and the edger. I hope the purpose of the trailing arm and gravel leveler is fairly obvious, but if it's not, it will become obvious once we get to the stage of using it and you see it in action. The idea of the front gravel edger is to try and prevent too much gravel being spread over the yard. The slight curve outwards in it is hopefully going to collect the edges of the gravel and keep them in place. That's the theory behind it anyway, and it just remains to be seen if it works in practice. Now the fancy thing to do would be to put a pin through those arcs, basically using a bushing with a bolt through it, so that the bushing rides in the arcs and the bolt just holds it in place and there's no tension on it to bind the two parts together, if you understand what I'm trying to say. However, I just took the easy option and used a bolt through the arcs, and I didn't tighten it up very tight, I left it a little bit loose. Hopefully that'll work. If it binds up too much, I'll have to do the job properly. But I might get away with this and I'll give it a go at first. Now it's just a matter of repeating the process again for the other side. Same old, same old. We'll skip through that very quickly and get on with the next stage. The next part of the job is to attach the trailing arms. I had a little bit of a problem with this in that the holes didn't quite line up properly, so I had to run the drill through them. It took maybe 1/4 millimeter, just a few thou just to line them up and allow the bolt to pass through. After that they're all good. main thing is to make sure that the trailing arms swivel up and down fairly freely and that they're in line with the rest of the trolley. You wouldn't want it snaking off to the side because we haven't got our wheels lined up properly. This isn't a final assembly yet, this is just a test assembly prior to painting. I just want to make sure everything goes together properly, that it all works as I intend, and then if all's good I don't have to do any more welding or cutting, I'll go ahead and paint it. Still have to do the electrics after that, and I've still got a couple of things to weld on before I can even paint it. I'm just putting the wheels on as well so I can check the heights of everything and make sure the actuators fit and appear that they're going to work okay. I'll check the height adjustments as the wheels move. Just make sure it looks like the fingers will lift high enough to clear the ground. Make sure they go low enough to cut into the gravel. All that sort of things. It should all be fine. I checked it all on the CAD package when I drew it. Checked that the travel limits all looked okay and clearance is good. But it always pays just to put it together, last minute checks before you get it all painted up, and then you're sorry if it's wrong. And of course I did deviate from the plans just slightly. That story's coming up. There's a little bit of welding spatter on one of the axles, so I needed to go and get a file to clean that off in order to get the wheel to fit on. There's always these little things when you go to assemble it, which is basically why it's called a test fit. I had a little drum stand that happened to be just the right height to match where the grader will fit onto the tractor. That enabled me to level it up and check that the fingers were the right length and that the actuator movement would be enough to make the fingers clear the ground and also enough to let them go deep enough into the gravel to do its job. Unfortunately, the camera ran out of battery at about this point, so you didn't get to see me actually testing the movement on this heavy piece of hardware, which I'm sure would have looked quite comical. Nevertheless, I did discover that my ill-considered extension on the trailing arms that held the gravel leveler didn't work as I planned. Unfortunately, the extension was enough to move the gravel leveler bar back into conflict with the wheels at certain angles. Now, I checked all that on the CAD package and I'd made sure everything was right, but it had been a little while since I'd done the design, probably a month or so before I got to build it, and I'd forgotten just how tight the tolerances were, so I came to grief on that. That means I've got to cut the gravel leveler bar off and make it the correct length according to the plans. This is why we do test fitting, particularly when we alter the plans. If you're going to alter the plans, think it through, have a look at the entire assembly. I wish I had. Now I've got to fix that up. Well, there's a lesson for me that I should have learnt a long time ago. If you're going to deviate from the plans, you need to think it through and test fit things. I deviated from the plans. I put that little diamond shape on the back of it. I thought, oh, that'll look great. Because I did that, I moved the angle line back a little bit. Without thinking it through, that moved the angle line back so that when the gravel grader was raised by lowering the wheels touched this. So I've had to plasma the angle off these parts. 016 is the angle. Part numbers rubbed off these, and I forget what they are at the moment. I think probably about 011, but I'm not sure. I'll put a message up in the video. Yeah, anyway, I had to cut these off. It was a really dumb idea. If I weld them back on now, they'll be in the right position for the wheels because they're pretty much back to where they should have been anyway. If you're going to deviate from the plans, make sure you do a test fit and think the thing through properly. I drew the plans and I still messed up. It happens. I'd like to apologise for my voice in this video. I've come down with a little bit of cold and I didn't want to delay putting the video up, so I hope it's not too bad. If you'd like to build your own gravel grader, there's a link to my website where you can download plans. That will pop up in the corner of this video shortly, and it's repeated below in the description. There's also a link in the description below to the playlist containing the complete set of videos for this build. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe for more. Until next time.